Hey guys, I was just wanting to kind of post how I've been looking for my bets and everything in case anybody else was wanting to try to go over this on their own. I was going to be real quick. I was just going to run through one game and just kind of my setup of everything I've got. Up here in the top right is going to be the spreadsheet where I keep track of everything. I've posted that in the Discord. I can always post that again if anybody's interested in getting that. This right here is just kind of like a general prop, right? So you can put whatever player for every night, put your date, you get your prop, your line, your odds. It's got your bet in here. And then this is just taken directly from the prop tool itself. So if you're looking at Gobert, he's supposed to get 12.5 points on his line. It's actually a 48% probability. And then if you were to put in, say, minus 120 for that, it's actually telling you to bet that under. So you would be able to put your difference here. The spreadsheet is really actually only made for overs, just the same way that looking at the prop tool is, which is why when I show you in this video, it's actually going to be something different. I put here, I'm going to put the teams, that way you can sort by that. And then you've got your outcome over here, which if you were to put win or loss, actually updates to whatever your bet amount was. This EV is actually based off of what the difference on this is. So say that this was actually supposed to be like 500 and you thought that that was going to be like a 50-50 bet, that your difference on this bet is probably somewhere around 50%. So you can see that that increases your EV over here. So it's a really cool thing to work with and go over all of that. Down here I've got the FanDuel website, and then over here I got the range of outcomes, and you kind of use all of these together to figure out what bets it is that you're going to come up with. So I'm just going to take a quick look down here at this Nuggets game, go to the player props, and you can kind of scroll down, and I'm going to be focusing down here on these alt lines, and I'll show you why we're going to do that here in a minute. So the next thing that you want to do once you find the game that you're trying to go over, go to your range of outcomes, and then you're going to filter out. Here, let's go down and do this on the FanDuel side of things. You're going to go through and try to filter directly to those teams that you're looking for. So we're looking for Denver, we're looking for the Knicks. And then the next thing that we want to do is we want to sort this by 5 times. Idea by doing that is generally your FanDuel pricing is going to go hand in hand with what their props are, because they're trying to project people to go 5 times the same way that we are. And we're actually looking for that to be the least common kind of thing. The next thing that I do by looking at that is I go look at the price. Obviously, you're trying to find somebody who's going to have props, so we're not going to get a lot of these min price guys. Noel's not going to have props. Kevin Knox isn't going to have props, so you need to find somebody who is actually going to be listed here. But once you get there, you just Control F, and then you can type in their name. That way you can find their stuff a lot quicker. Once you do that, you go over here, find their name in the prop tool, and then you enter what their lines are. If you guys haven't ever messed around with this, you always put in the overs right here, and then that's what's going to spit out this difference number. So if you're looking at Will Barton for tonight, I know it's still really early on in the day, but he's only projected to get us about 9.5 points. If you're looking at the line 14.5, obviously that is a great spot for us to try to bet that under. So you just go through, update that through your prop tool, under on your points, and then you list your line and then whatever odds that you're getting for that. You don't have to put in a bet right now. That's probably for later on in the night. And then for the difference. So this difference is actually based off of the over line. So you could put that in here, but we're going to be messing with some of the alt lines. I'm actually using this to sort as teams for that round robin strategy that I've been talking about. So you can enter what team that you've got there. And then your probability, you're actually just taking the opposite. So this is going to be like an 89% probability that that's going to happen. And then you should be good there. And then you just keep on scrolling. This is all very matchup based. It's a lot of what those defensive metrics kind of go into as well. And just another really cool thing to look at. If I could type. I know I spelled that wrong. Don't even care. But it's another really cool way that you can kind of go through and same game parlay some of these if that's really kind of what it is that you're interested in doing and figuring all your stuff out. So Will Barton looks like a smash spot for tonight's bets. I mean, that's the best bet that we found so far. That's great. I know it's also got like the highest um, or the lowest payout rather. But you still want to be taking advantage of those just because you have to bet a little bit more to make sure you win your unit back. There's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of why that line is what it is. Um, so don't ever worry about that. That's kind of what you have to do there. So once you do those, you can also do this PAR bet, which is going to be another really good bet when you find 3 unders, and you enter that there. And then you can compare that payout, so that minus 120 compared to the minus 152. You don't have to bet nearly as much to win your unit back on this one, and you're really only looking at like a 2.5% difference. So you kind of take into consideration what it is that you're wanting to bet. Take your favorite bets. Obviously, this is going to be completely up to everybody individually and what they're betting, but I just kind of want to show you like the power of everything and what it actually ends up doing. So like I said, just cool ways to look at it. The thing that I've been taking advantage of is going down here to these alt props. So this is really where it kind of gets really nice with some of these payouts if you really trust the sheets. So if you were to enter that 9.5, you can actually see that his median projection is 9.56, but he doesn't always hit that. Obviously, he's going to have some ceiling games that are bringing that up, but he's also going to have some floor games mixed in with that. It's just spitting you out an average. What this is doing is it's actually telling you how often that's happening in James's simulations. And if you were to enter, say, that 9.5, his probability right here, it's actually going to give you this 36% difference. Now, that's not a direct correlation because this plus 340 and this minus 500 obviously has some room for FanDuel's rake, but it's a good starting spot to look at, and you can keep track of that as well if you want to. That just kind of gives you some wonky numbers based off of this right here. If you were to use this for betting overs and you were actually to type in a number right here, you can see it spits out a total, and you can actually sort that based off of the highest probability and the highest difference in the bet, which gives you essentially your best value of the bets that it is that you're trying to find. Like I said, haven't been doing that because I've been betting the unders, but it's interesting to look at. So once you find that bet that it is that you're wanting to do, and I always look for about a 50%. I'm trying to still make sure that I can win these bets pretty often. And then I just type in the under alt points, and then you want to find out your positive pay line. Figure out what your probability is. So we're looking at like 53%, and then you kind of move on from there. You can continue down, do the same thing with the alt rebounds. He's projected at 4.5. You can see that this one isn't as profitable as what that points line might be. So you want to take that into consideration. You're looking at very similar outcomes right here, but you're looking at a very different payout. We had plus 340 for the points, so on under 9.5. On rebounds, you're only looking at plus 142. So obviously, we're going to be taking that higher payout as opposed to betting some of these alt rebounds. Not to say you can't bet these individually, but for that parlay strategy, we're obviously taking that higher payout. We're trying to hit some of those really high lines. And you can keep track of that one over here too. Assists, same kind of thing. He already had a really high line, or like a negative 158, so you had to bet more to get your unit back. It's going to be that same thing with assists. He's only hitting that one 31% of the time at plus 154. That's a better line, and it's happening way more often that we're going to hit that under than even the rebounds. So again, just kind of like reiterating what you're doing right there. It's not a bad one to keep track of. This 1.5, that's a 62%. So that means we're only hitting that one 38% of the time, but you have to still consider that we're actually only supposed to hit this bet 1 out of 5 times. You're actually hitting that twice as often as what they're paying you out to do. Still makes this a good bet. It may not be the most profitable thing in the round robins because we're looking for higher outcome events, but nothing is stopping that from happening. You're still going to be profitable on this if the sheets hit 38% of the time. We're going to be profitable on this bet twice as often as what they're expecting us to do. So over the long haul, once variance plays itself out, we're still going to profit there. Go down, you could do your alt points rebounds one, so you can add that up. We're going to round that, say that's 10, 15, we're going to say that's 17. So you can type that in here and see how often that hits. you can actually see that it's 16 as more often, and then you could hit your 290 line, and then that's a better bet than that rebounds and maybe even that assist one. So we could keep track of that. Once you're done with each individual player that it is that you're wanting to look up, you're just going to move down here into your next player. So we're going to look up Mitchell Robinson, see if he has any props. If not, we're going to go to Jamal Murray, so on, so forth. Even though you see Jokic up here, he's still projected to hit 5 times 40% of the time. That doesn't mean he doesn't have individual stats that are going to be that way. Just 2 nights ago, I had Jokic. He went off, I think it was for like 40 points, like 17 rebounds in that overtime game, whatever those stats were against the Mavericks. But he only ended up getting 4 assists. I hit a plus 1,000 bet on that. That really helped me out with my round robins. I literally only hit one of my combinations. I still tripled my money on that. So it doesn't hurt you to look at these players. We're not really going to look at Elf. He's probably projected to smash across the board. He's definitely outplaying what his salary is here. But it doesn't hurt to look at the bigger players like Jokic. Giannis is another one to where FanDuel has his rebound line extremely high most nights. I've hit 2 plus 400 bets this week on unders for Jokic's, not Jokic, Giannis's rebounds. So it's always good to look at the expensive guys too, even if they're projected right here. It doesn't really take that long if you're doing the Control F thing, and you just kind of go from there. Let's finish out this bet, and then I'll move on to that next player. And then 52. So once you do that, you just kind of back out on that name. We're looking for Mitchell Robinson. You can see he's only got 9 props. Nothing wrong with that. But we want to make sure that we update it up here too. So just quickly looking, you can see that he's projected to hit the over on his points. I'm not really interested in projecting those kinds of things. I do like betting the unders, and you can see that his rebounds might be a good prop to bet there. And you can kind of scroll through these a little bit quicker until you find what it is that you're looking for. The more you use this, you can see that this 6.5 is only plus 140. We've got better bets than that. And when it comes to doing these round robins, you're looking for the highest paying ones from every game. So you can kind of pick and choose what it is that you're betting and go from there. So let's look for Jamal Murray's. And you can see that his points are going to be that same kind of bet, right? He's only hitting that 72% of the time. There is going to be some wiggle room with the alt points here and what we're looking at. His rebounds, he's probably going to be on the under for that one. You can compare this line, this minus 144, to that minus 116, and then look at the percentages. Obviously, you're going to take your points. Again, nothing stopping you from betting the rebounds here. That's still a profitable bet in the long haul, but you're going to get more by betting off of his points. Assists, this should be another really good one too. And there you've got a better percentage than what you have for your points. So it's just going through picking out those best combinations. You could see that we had the unders for all of those. So when you get his points, rebounds, assists total, you should get a pretty big under for that one too. And that allows you for some wiggle room in case he decides that he's going to hit a lot of shots and he actually outscores his points, but he doesn't get his rebounds or assists. It's just kind of a catch-all for all your bets. But if you go and we're looking for those alt props, 17.5, about 50% of the time, that's a 255 bet. So that fits in nicely in this range that we're looking for. And kind of going about doing that. But that's just like the quick way to look for some of these bets. You can look through a game pretty quick once you get the hang of this. If you can get everything up on the same screen, you don't have to pull up different things. Just a cool way to kind of interpret the data. A lot of people who are making lineups are looking for upside. It's a very unique way of looking at it because we're actually looking for floor games, not for ceiling games. And like I posted in the sports betting thread, that I've been noticing a trend where a lot of the GPP pictures you guys are posting in the NBA thread, first and second place is really only pulling like 299, I think it was the other night on a lineup. So that really just kind of goes to show like floor games are really much more of a thing. These people aren't hitting as high of a ceiling this season. So it kind of allows us to take advantage of some of the under bets, whether that's injuries, the shorter off season, whatever that situation might be. Um, it's definitely trends that you guys are wanting to look for when it comes to being profitable if you're interested in doing the sports betting kind of thing. Um, I'm going to try to start posting my bets in here as often as I can, as long as my work life permits that. But if you guys ever have any questions, definitely feel free to ask me. I'm definitely down to help anybody. So, thanks.